And prior to his death, he was commander of, I forget the Legion post in Syracuse, New York. And I've got all of his medals in my possession. I've got all the various things and pictures connected with his service in France.
So I have one hanging over in the gun case. Yeah. One medal.
Then, really, I have a kid brother, and of course, he is dead. He served World War II. He re-enlisted in the Korean War, came out of both wars, re-enlisted in the Air Force at Titusville, Florida, and one morning at 2 o'clock in the morning, he was leaving the officers' club, and he was going to the Indian River to fish, and he tried to straighten out a curve and went through the windshield of his car, and he was a DOA at a doctor's office right in front of the wreck. So Memorial Day, in respect to my Uncle Sam, his name was Samuel J. Nisholm, and I called him Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam, yeah.
And in respect to Uncle Sam and my dead kid brother, Memorial Day means a lot to me.
Still out of it. My son that you met over there was a flyer, a Navy flyer, in the Second World War.
Oh, yeah.
And he flew the Bermuda run, then he flew the Atlantic. He was one of the pilots that flew the Shell Stanfield beachhead when they ran out. Then he flew the Pacific.
Oh, yeah.
My nephew, Attorney George Raymond Smith, was the leader of the first flyer squadron of the Army Flyer Squadron.
Oh.
He has a DFC for the Foccia raid. And my younger brother, Judge George Smith, was a colonel in the war. He was down at Fort, Provost Marshal at Fort down there in, I can't think of the name of town, Alabama, and then in Georgia, see? Macon, Georgia, and Robbins Field, and then he went across, see? But I was in the, I got in the First World War.
All right. Carl, a couple nights ago, I was going through the Xenia phone book, and I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but I wasn't either. There's 326 families of Smiths alone in the Xenia phone book. Could you tell me, you know, years ago, I always talked about the Smith Brothers cough syrup and cough drops.
Yeah.
How the name Smith got to be such a well-known, well, there's Browns, there's Blacks, but it seems to me there's more Smiths than there are anybody.
Yeah. Well, I know the woods are full of Smiths. They're all different tribes, see? They're not all necessarily related. I laugh and say all Smiths are first neighbors-in-law.
Oh.
And they used to say, the matter of Smiths, I used to think that the Smith Manufacturing Company turned them out. But I got older and I learned about the birds and the bees, and I found out they had nothing to do with it. But here's the reason there's so many Smiths. You know, among other things, I've taught sociology. And in the long journey from savagery to civilization, before they had family names, they went by trades. Goldsmith, locksmith, blacksmith, silversmith,
that's right,
and so on. And in German, they had Goldmann, Silvermann, Denksmann, Doxmann, and so on, and so weiter, see? I used to teach German. My mother was a man, see? And they went by trades. Well, most of them couldn't write, so he could read it, and they could guess at Smith, and they could guess at Manns, and that's how they came to be so many Smiths and so many Manns. However, at the time of the St. Louis Fair, some chap with the name of Miller, M-U-L, umlaut U in German, Miller, there were more Millers than Smiths in the United States. And he had a building for the the Millers of those in the United States. But that's the way there happen to be so many Smiths.